Listen. Okay, I think we're good. Hey, so I am Shoshana. I do lots of different kinds of projects in the community, and today I'm really excited to do a project I started playing with in the fall. And in the fall, I worked with one of the Humboldt County Office of Education's Family Maker Nights. I've done a lot of those in the past, and often I really specialize in bringing little microkinetics or little miniature fairy and elf houses with lots of upcycled materials and exciting little treasures to play with and find, and hot glue or create things out of paper cups and a lot of environmentally sustainable items if possible, or things rescued that would have been thrown away, to make creations and be able to have kids have a chance to talk about their engineering that's a part of their project, or explaining what they were thinking when they made it. One of my favorite things of the last year, 2019, 2020, was working with the Humboldt Library System, and they have the Kids Create workshops, and I did a couple of those before the pandemic hit, and one of my favorites was going out to Hoopa and being able to make those fairy houses with an entire group of third graders, and it was the most fun. Some of the kids were thinking, I don't want to make a fairy house, what is this? And then they just really came alive, picking from a gigantic assortment of stuff to play with and put together in fun different ways. So I did a little bit of that yesterday with the microkinetics, which similarly trying to create some kind of a sculpture that can move through an obstacle course and move through a space. And this leaf art one was made to be fitting in with that Family Maker Night in October, so that it could be celebrating the ephemeral. I'm also a dancer, and the idea of dance as being something you can't really capture. It doesn't really videotape perfectly. It doesn't really come across ideally in a recorded or distant form. It's really right there with you, right there touching, connecting, being there present with each other with energy. So this idea of playing with ephemeral items is a fun one, and the idea of playing with abstraction or being able to explain what you're doing to somebody, even if it might not always come across the way you're envisioning it, was something I thought would be fun to play with. So in this, I've got my second camera, or a little presentation for you, with a slideshow with some inspiring artwork, which was at my fingertips. There we are. I've been finding myself with many windows. There we go. Okay, so this one is my little slideshow on environmental art, just to get you excited about the ideas that we're going to play with. And this will be available to watch on YouTube later also. Okay, so my first slide, there we are. Environmental art. I did this in the fall, so a lot of my colors are fall themed originally, but making some leaf art animals. And I was playing with animals, but it could be anything that you're excited about, of course. Andy Goldsworthy is an artist who has made himself pretty famous by working in nature, using what he finds around in that area to make really cool installations. He's made things out of leaves and rocks and sticks and icicles and just whatever is around in interesting colors, interesting patterns. His are often pretty epic. I know that when I go to the river, I might make myself a little tiny spiral or a little tiny heart that maybe takes about 2 or 3 inches of space. So my things are usually very tiny when I go out and about, but some of these just give you an idea of just what is there and found. And I try and just use things that I find around and try not to pick anything off of other plants, and just see what happens to be about. I love this spiral because if you find all those different, just acknowledging the different shapes between the rocks and how they all come together and how there's space between them and they get further apart as you go. I think that's just really interesting. And if you've ever made some art out of leaves or rocks or sticks, you might be also an environmental artist. Might be small. We have a local artist, Gordon Trump, who's got a business called Sticks and Stones, art business, and he uses just different things that are out and about, and repurposed building materials that he's found and scavenged and had fun collecting. So one of the things I wanted to play with was am I on there? There I go. Sorry, checking something. Is leaf rubbings, and that's a really easy, fun way to play with something you can find out and about, and with crayons. All you have to do is pick the paper off, and you're good to go. On this one here. But what we're also going to be playing with is using little pieces. You can use little seed pockets. You can just use the little leaves as they are. You might find that these leaves here are the same type of leaf that's used as the little nose there. You might find a little piece or cut something out or put a seed there or draw a little dot with a pen, depending on what you like to do and what you can find. And noticing that some of the fresher ones might be different colors from the ones that have been sitting out and about longer. It was really fun to do this in the fall because there was such a plethora of leaves all about and everywhere. Doing this in the early, almost spring, there wasn't quite as much laying around, but I still found some things out and about. I love all the different colors and of the leaves that you can find and little treasures that are out and about. Just walking around the sidewalk around the Creamery building, I found a few really fun ones. Seems like in this owl here they might have used some scissors with one of the leaves to cut out some different shapes, but mostly it's just found shapes that you could locate. Having underwater scenes, some people might just make a cute little creature, and some might make a bigger scene or different for our landscape. We're using some flower petals to help make decorations in different colors. Lots of options. This is also something I did in the fall, and as I was doing it I was really thinking it'd be nice to use nature-based paint for that, because I had some acrylic paint, but I didn't really feel as great about that because that wouldn't I wouldn't want to put that in my chicken coop. I wouldn't want to toss that out to decompose afterward, because it has pens and and paints on it. So if you had some nature-based paints that were safe to use, non-toxic, that could be a really lovely way to make some decorative pieces. Also masks, big leaves in the fall can be wonderful masks you can look right through. It's pretty special. And just looking at some of the creativity you might have with some paint, just little drops of paint. You put an eye on something and it gives it all the character, which is so much fun. So just playing around with how you can make that happen, what you can see in that shape, that little leaf, what could it possibly be? Oh, and then this is the idea of the dead stuff in here. It's what's for dinner. It's a really cute little silly thing. We don't need to watch that right now, but it's a little tiny TED Talk for kids about the idea of everything is crumbling, decomposing, and that ephemeral nature of life, that ephemeral nature of, for me, dance and movement, and the ephemeral nature of art sometimes. And so that's good vocabulary word, ephemeral. So what I wanted to play with is get my second camera going here, because I can. Oh, start video. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let me add this as another screen so you can see what is happening on this little fun table. So as the presentations have been going on today, I've been having some fun on my little table with some collected leaves that I've been making. And so this one, I just turn my whole setup here a little. It's not quite upright for you viewers at home. There we go, something like that. Okay, so when I was playing around today, and this is definitely for me play, I don't really feel that I have the need always to glue anything down. I just might have fun playing with the little shapes, playing with some of the leaves, and then moving on. I don't really necessarily have to keep it forever and ever and ever. I also noticed the different shapes. Like this one I thought was really special because this is just from a little dandelion that was outside the playhouse. I try not to pick too many flowers or leaves, but this one, there were a lot of those in that area, so I did pick one. I thought it was so amazing how it looked like a redwood tree. Doesn't it look so much like a tree? And I can imagine making a little forest of a couple of those leaves. And similarly, I got this little guy that is such detailed and fun. I thought that might be able to be a little tree as well. It could be the tail feather. It could be kind of anything. This over here, I was having fun getting a little branch that could have some moss already growing on it. That could be maybe a little scene that this little bird, this kind of angry bird here, is sitting on top of. And most of these I found at a friend's yard. This one just seems so wonderful, like it was a whole bush or tree. And then down here, I was playing with these little guys as some kind of a fish scene, some kind of an underwater scene. So I have some seaweed, some kelp that's growing up, and I have my little decorative fish that's floating around. So I was going to let you all admire that for a quick second, and then I was going to actually just pull that apart and see if I can create something else out of it. If you decided that you wanted to have the ability to keep this or put it on a fridge or keep it around for later, you could totally glue them down. I do have my hot glue gun available if I'd get excited and want to keep something in one place. But I think it's usually just fun to be able to move it around, like you have these wonderful puzzle pieces from nature that you can play with and make in different ways and just let your imagination run a little wild. Okay, so if you don't right now have a little pile of leaves to play with, you can enjoy my pile of leaves and then go find some for yourself later. But it's definitely something that can be great. I know that so many of us are stuck on focusing. There we go. Stuck online on Zoom, on computers so much of the day. So this is definitely something that's cool for any age, but it doesn't have to only be for tiny children. It can be for everybody. And I know I have a lot of fun with it too. But it can be a great thing to do with kids as well, and creating that divergent thinking, ways of exploring. I think it's very important, and adults being able to play with kids and find ways to communicate and explain what each other are doing is a really special thing to be able to do, and something that maybe is hard to remember that's super fun to do and a wonderful aspect of connections between adults and kids. Okay, so I was going to actually blow apart my little scene here and see if I can create something different. So my little fish, I do like that fish though. Maybe I'll just start with another one. I've got a nice little pile of leaves that I was able to collect. I've been working on it for a while, but like I said, it's a little trickier to find leaves in the early, almost spring, as it is in the fall, that you have so many leaves to pick from all over the place. Oh, this one's feeling pretty cool. This one might be a fun one for a face. If I turn it that way, that looks pretty spectacular. It almost looks like a carrot or a beet to me. And I might take some of my other little pieces. I haven't picked too many flowers, but as I said, there were a lot of dandelions in that area, so I did pick one little dandelion. But I might be able to throw some little dandelion petals in there. A pretty nice little hat. Okay, let's see. What else can we do? Maybe I can use some of these little seeds that are in here for the eyes. There's an eye. There's another one over here. Oh, got two little eyes on there. Not very sure if you can see it. Oh, I'll get a little closer. So much going on my table here. There we go. Make sure you can see this all right. I've got this, and we've got it on that one. Okay, probably now you can see it a little better. Okay, there. I think I've got it on gallery. Cool. All right. Make sure, since I'm running my own tech here. This is one of those times where I'm not sure. Right. Great. All right. So what am I going to use for my little mouths for this one? I also have one of these little tiny daisies that's wanting to close up. Maybe I can use that for the mouth. So for this one, I'm going to take the little petals and put them aside for right now. I can use those a little later. I was thinking about using the center part in the middle there. Okay. I'm going to move this over here a little bit. Hopefully you guys can all hear me okay. That. All right, I've got that. I've got my little nose. Maybe I'll just use one little petal as a mouth. Oh, it's hard to pick up individual tiny daisy petals there. So again, this is the kind of a project you can really do with anything, anywhere, anytime, and I'm just trying to lay it out there as an inspiration. I feel like I've got my little beat happy now. Okay, so that's a pretty fun one. I'm not nearly as fancy as this owl over here. I have a whole family. I did do something last time that was very similar to the butterfly. That was great, but I feel like my aesthetic is happiest if I'm able to make it a little bit more symmetrical. Let's see. 1 second, everybody. Hi. Okay, let's get a little one of these. I'm going to get another of my little friends on here. We can see what else we can make. Okay. Okay, all right. We have a lot going on around here. Okay, so I'm going to also get some of these little guys that I found. So finding the different shapes and the different colors that you have with every single kind of leaves is just so much fun. It's fun to see that there's some that are, skinny and brown, and some that are green, and just all that variety. My little creature. I'm not sure if I'm giving him whiskers or giving him some arms. Maybe we'll just go for some whiskers. My little beak creation. 1, 2, 3. Some of those. There we go. All right, so that's the little one that I made. And this is a lot of fun when you have the ability to, oh, can we see both cameras? Oh, thank you, Haley. Yes, you can see that. We can see both of them. Thanks, Haley. This is the kind of project that's really fun to do with a bunch of kids sitting around a table playing with a big pile of leaves. By myself, all by myself right now. It isn't quite as exciting as entertaining, not without a bunch of people around. But it is fun to give people hopefully the idea to make this happen on their own, because it's really fun to do, especially if you've got a lot of pieces and parts to play with. Oh, got that little guy under there. All right, so I just have 1 or 2 more things to put on here. Also, I had a pretty big plant that was the fuzzy, soft little lamb's wool ones that the lamb's ear, softy ones, and I just couldn't help myself, and I collected one of those, so I just thought that I'd make sure to put it in a special place. I think that one might be good to put here in the little middle body section of my critter. And let's give him some little legs that can go down here. I'm not sure what he is. Okay. Yes, I did get that shot yesterday, and I was wearing a ball gown because I knew it was going to hurt, and so knowing it was going to hurt, I had to dress up a little preemptively to make sure I was happy. Dressing up is really a nice way to feel good about things, I think. Try to make ball gown strolls and ways to make people feel fancy any day of the week. A little okay there. All right, so I'd like this to fan out a tiny bit more, but other than that, I think this little guy is pretty good. And then I wanted to do one more thing with our leaf rubbings. Oh. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, that's my creation for the moment. I think I'm happiest with my fish over here. I think that's the one I like the best. My little birdie guy is pretty cute too, although he's pretty angry at the way that I set up his little face. Okay, so what I would love to do is see things that you create. So somehow, if you ever want to share, at Shoshana Land is my website, Shoshana with 2 N's, and that's shoshanaland.com, and I have my email address on there. If you ever want to send anything, I'm always delighted to appreciate and admire artwork people send in. And also on Facebook, I'm there a lot on Enchanting Parties with Shoshana. That's a place that I go for more crafty fun things. And I'm excited to be doing a microkinetics project in this next month, starting next Saturday, with kids making some Saturday morning creations to envision their kinetic exploits through sand, water, and land. This guy's just getting carried away now. Okay. Right, so we have one story to share with you from the Zoom Around the World series, and I'm going to keep playing with some of my art here. So I'm going to switch over to our Zoom Around the World, and then we are going to go back, and I'll do a tiny bit of leaf rubbing as we wrap things up as I reset up my little scenario here. But I hope that you play with leaves. That's what I'm most excited about here, is that you mess around with fun things, get the new vocabulary word of ephemeral, and are okay with things that stay and things that go away, and that you can enjoy and have fun with each other. People of all ages can rock out and have a great time with. Okay, here we go. Oops. Okay. Okay, this one is Zoom Around the World. This video is created by Tushar, who's one of the artists who has made it lots of fun to do these types of projects. He's a Del Arte guy who, let's go ahead and see what his version of Zoom Around the World has been this last. Oh, let's make sure I don't unpin this little guy. Unpin this one too. All right, here we go. Zoom